always come in. The penalties come in when there are infractions, and we know that 70% of the customer base of Glo, they lost about 70% of their customer base due to these leadership lapses when it comes to the regulators. They have not been up and doing, and we know that leadership is how quickly and how intelligently an organization will react and adapt to various changes that come up in its industry. And so what are their strategic weak points, the lapses in their strategy? First and foremost, you will notice that Glo are usually reactive and not proactive. So when it comes to leadership, once you wait until the penalties come in, it means you are not compliant. When you wait till then before you react, there is already a leadership gap, And so they were not proactive. If they were proactive, they will act fast, not when things have already happened before they can now start reacting. And you see most times is when there are penalties for their infraction, that is when you see them following compliance. So basically, they didn't have a foresight. They should have a foresight. And in that, it shows that they are weak. Their foresight is weak. They're not looking ahead, and then they treated compliance as though it's an operational activity. Meanwhile, it's supposed to be a strategic focus. Okay, and when it comes to agility, we see slow decision cycles. Those are the issues we see in Glo, which is a case study here. And then their response to regulatory directive is also very slow. Their response is slow. And when it comes to their internal control, even within the organization, it actually shows that it is weak. Any weak system will not be able to be a leading player in the industry. And in terms of their installation of their infrastructure around various regions in the country, to maintain coverage, they've not had something like that. Like I said earlier, even in the name SIM registration and linkage for customers, they were actually very slow. And because of that, they didn't have coverage. And in fact, when it comes to decision making, you will notice that it comes just from the top. So the people at the middle level leaders or team leads, they are not empowered, and because they are not empowered to take up these roles and these decisions, it really reduces their agility when these regulatory shocks and disruptions take place. When we speak about influence, we're looking at their negotiating power. Among the points that we'll have to make, we say their negotiating power was very low when it comes to relating and engaging with their regulators, and that gave them a lack of confidence. The critical stakeholders lacked confidence in their system, and it can only now limit the public trust. So by that alone, there will be a weak brand perception. And also another point here, which we discussed, is the no regret leadership moves, regardless of the regulatory shifts that comes up in the industry, that's in the telecom industry. There are some strategic moves that are supposed to be taken at such levels. And so we will look at, for our case study, for Glo, we expect that they set up a regulatory intelligence unit. That regulatory intelligence unit is supposed to keep coming up with ideas. They are supposed to track the regulators. Anytime shifts are coming up, they're supposed to see it even before it happens. They're supposed to know that, okay, this is coming up. And in cases of uncertainties, that's where the tracking comes up. They will, in tracking the regulatory shifts, they will also be very proactive, and then there will be clear decisions that will be taken from that unit, which will go up, and this will guide them so that when there are uncertainties, it won't even affect them because they are already ready for it. And then also in their decision making must always be swift. Its decision making should be engraved in their mandate, such that it is a mandate that these decisions has to be taken. And these decisions, there has to also be empowerment, coming from the decision, not just decisional decisions, but the people that are supposed to take up those decisions and put it into action, they should also be empowered to be able to carry out those decisions. And also the willingness to accept change. It has to always be there because change is constant, definitely. And so there are always new technologies, new entrances in the tech, even AI, and all that. We see cases where the KYC is no longer like previously. What you do is you play corporate governance. They should embrace their compliance. Compliance is key, and so that unit, not just the intelligence unit, the compliance unit has to be top-notch. The compliance unit should not be seen as operational, like a daily thing, but it should be strategic. It should have a foresight. It should be at, in fact, compliance usually reports to the MD CEO and all that, so that should also be in place. Thank you.
What are the expected changes? after the implementation of the leadership actions. In the first 30 days, visible changes may not be observed. This period is expected to be used for engagement with various stakeholders within the organization. Some of the engagements expected to be held during this phase include town hall meetings with management retreats, management meeting with the board of directors, etc. The second 30 days will see some level of momentum. They include activities like the rollout of a clear blueprint by management with specific timelines, the constitution of a steering committee to oversee and drive the plan, realignment of the company mission statements, review of existing policies of the company, and establishment of a dedicated budget to execute the needed changes. Within the third 30 days, there will be commencement of gradual organizational restructuring, engagement of external consultants to guide and oversee the restructuring, establishment of process owners with clear mandates and appropriate mechanisms put in place to regularly monitor their performance. There will be deployment of innovative tools, example AI and other tools. And by the third 30 days, there will be better clarity of the vision and direction of the new organization. With the organizational restructuring, there will be agility and more resilience. Process owners will be empowered to execute their respective mandates which will hasten internal processes and decision-making. With the deployment of AI and other tools, processes can now be automated and tasks can be completed faster with reduced risks. There will be better clarity of the company vision and direction, which will endanger employee trust. With all of these actions, there will be some leading indicators before financial results. And these indicators will include increased subscriber base, staff loyalty, better customer feedback, and increased customer confidence. The workforce will be agile, and there will be better relationship with the regulator, which in turn will ensure no sanctions. With these leading indicators, there will be very clear line of sight, and the financial results will definitely be positive and positive for Globalcom.